Welcome back to the Michigan Business Beat, brought to you on the Michigan Business Network. Chris Holman here, and we are remote today. We're at Dome IQ, and we'll explain what that is if you haven't already heard. And we are at the Atheneum Hotel in downtown Lansing. But from a guy not too far from here, right, in District 9, Michael Weber. And Michael, you are a senator representing that area. Tell me a little bit about that area.
Well, it's a great district. I'm from the Rochester area and grew up in Rochester Hills. It was on the city council in Rochester Hills, but it's a greater Rochester area, Troy, and then Sterling Heights and Utica in Macomb County. It's about 30% Macomb, 70% Oakland County, and just a great district, a very connected district.
Yeah, so. And you were in business, moved in and out of business, which is not necessarily why you're here, but we love that fact of it because that perspective is important.
Yeah, not just having the local government background, but also being a licensed property and casualty insurance agent, working with my dad in the insurance business for a number of years now, and it's working with those business owners, small business owners, restaurant owners, that kind of gives me a perspective that I think is a little different and unique for a legislator.
Well, it certainly does. So let's talk a little bit about kind of your movement into politics and what gets an insurance guy into politics.
Well, prior to being in the insurance world, I was on staff for about 10 years, and I started right out of college with Governor Engler, and it just was something, I kind of fell in love with in terms of public service. Never really thought I was going to run for something myself, and decided to give it a shot in terms of city council, and I was elected at 29 to the city council, by far the youngest guy at that time on the council, and then just enjoyed that, and just kind of the next step seemed to be running for the state house position, which kind of completed the circle for me. I'd worked in the House most of my legislative staff career, and that was a great experience. And then when you're doing that, there's things that you want to get done that you couldn't. My last term was during when COVID hit, and the legislature kind of ground to a halt in terms of a lot of the bills and a lot of the issues. And so I always thought, if I had an opportunity to serve again, obviously in the upper chamber in the Senate, being termed out of the House, that it would be a great opportunity. And so I'm glad that the voters, trust me and have confidence in me to continue that service in Lansing.
So let's talk about this format here, because one of the big problems is partisanship.
Sure.
People voting along lines,
Sure.
going to their party to say, how do I vote, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think about this format?
It's a great format because really it's all about relationships and relationship building. You're doing a lot of work on individual committees. You're doing a lot of work across the aisle. Mark Hackle, our county executive in Macomb, says he wants people to work in the aisle, not even reach across. He wants them to work in the aisle, and I kind of have that thought process. I had a number of bills in the House, that were signed into law, and almost as many of them were signed by Governor Whitmer as were signed by Governor Snyder. And so I think it's really important to have bipartisan bill packages, really work with your colleagues in that regard. You run as a member of your party, but then when you're elected, you represent everybody in your district.
Right, and that's important for people to know, because there still are people out there who will vote strictly party lines.
Yeah, and that's and that may be how they represent their district. They may have a very Democrat district or a very Republican district. My district, I won by 800 votes, so it is a middle of the road district, and so you'll see me vote maybe counter to the Republican viewpoint on some things. It really depends on the constituent outreach, what the constituents are saying, what their feedback is to us, and trying to kind of get through kind of the clutter of maybe some of the interest groups and some of these folks that are kind of paid to have that viewpoint versus a constituent that just is watching, following what's going on, and they have that viewpoint because it affects their daily life.
Well, and the interesting thing is some of the special interest groups have the loudest voices, and that makes it difficult sometimes.
Sure. Well, they have their public relations firms, right. They have their talking points and this and that, and they're trying to affect what we do at the legislative level, but it really comes back to how is it affecting the family, the person, everyday life. For instance, like schools, obviously, I respect and care about teachers, want them to be successful, but I really care about the students and the kids the most. I mean, that is the what we're trying to get successfully out of that school district and into college, into the trades, into jobs that
So they contribute.
so they can contribute to our economy going forward.
Yeah, we need them. All right, so what do you want to take away from this, being here today?
Well, I'm getting to know, as a senator, you kind of get siloed over in the Senate. I'm getting to know a lot of the new House members that are coming in, and there's a lot of them. And it's good to have those relationships. Ultimately, if you have success with a bill in the Senate, it's going to go over the House, and you got to have some relationships over there to get your bill moving. And I noticed that in the House, it's a lot of relationships and a lot of relationship building. I would go over to the Senate when I was in the House trying to get a chair to move my bill or this and that, and vice versa. And so it's important.
Well, you've had good success, and I want to thank you on behalf of a lot of people for your service.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
And tell Mark I said hi. If you
All right.
All right.
Very good. Very
Good to see you. All right. Michael Weber, who is District 9, as a matter of fact, state senator. We're going to be right back. You're watching the Michigan Business Beat on the Michigan Business Network. I'm Chris Holman, coming to you from Dome IQ in Detroit.